co-living obviously gets put as a solution to affordable housing. When you are considered cost burdened with a house, it means that over 30% of your income is being used for housing.
Okay.
And in Charlotte right now, according to HUD, 37% of people are cost burdened. And of that, the majority of them are renters. HUD also does something called the average median income, or AMI, and it's what your continuum of care, it's what your nonprofits are using for vouchers for people. So when you hear about Section 8 or HUD VASH or whatever, what they're talking about is typically you have to be at least 60% below the average median income. So with a 60% average or AMI, that person makes $42,600 a year, which means they have $1,050 to spend per month in rent. Do you think you can get an apartment for one person?
Absolutely not.
So what happens is you have this huge group of people in Charlotte right now. They make too much money to get vouchers.
Right.
But they don't make
But not
enough
enough.
money to get to the next level.
Right.
And I think a lot of people look at co-living as like, boarding houses and you're trying to like take advantage of people.
Right.
And that's not the case. What I think most of us who are invested in co-living are interested in getting people stabilized.
Yes.
So they can go to the next step. I never want someone to be in one of my properties for more than 6 months, ever. I want them to move forward.
Yeah, for sure. So the average stay for my tenants is 6 to 9 months.
Okay.
So I don't
But that's-
expect them to be there forever. It's a time for them to work on their credit, to save more money, to prepare to move to a permanent residence that, is their own.
Yep.
Average 1-bed, 1-bath apartment unit is $1,500 a month.
So if I make $42,600 a year,
You can't afford that.
I cannot.
And welcome to the latest episode of the Coliving Investing Podcast. I am your host, Ashley Jeffers. And on the pod, this time we have a special guest. Her name is Rachel Davis. Rachel, welcome to the pod.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me. This is awesome.
I am excited to have you here. So I have had the pleasure of working with Rachel on 2 occasions. So she participated on a panel at my in-person co-living investing meetup in Charlotte back in February.
Yep.
So you were one of 3 that talked about using creative financing to buy properties.
Yes, ma'am.
And then last week, was that last week?
It was.
Man,
Time
just keeps flying. Just last week, you were at my March meetup, and you were one of our coaches that helped small groups get more acclimated to doing outreach to find motivated sellers.
That's correct.
So it has been awesome to get to know you thus far, and I am looking forward to this episode because you have so much to share.
I like to think so.
You've done a thing or 2 in your life.
Well, that's what happens when you get to be an old.
Yeah. Well, no, you don't look it. You don't look it. So we will start kind of from the beginning. So, so many things I want to touch on. So let's just take it back to how you got into real estate investing.
So I got into real estate investing through the Army, actually. My husband and I both are veterans, so we both he did a full career in the U.S. Army, and I did 8 years.
Thank you for your service.
You were worth it. But yeah, we didn't even know at the time that we could keep using the one person's VA loan, so we just kept flip-flopping, and then whoever's property we had in the other location, we just rented it. Well, so that was kind of our gateway drug, I guess, to investing. But
so you would live together in one spot, and then move out of that spot, move together to another spot, and rent the one that you just moved out of.
Yep.
How many times did you do that?
3.
Wow. Over what time frame?
3 years.
Wow. That's a lot of moving in 3 years.
We at one point bought and sold 3 houses in 90 days. From selling an old house my husband had with his ex-wife to selling our current home when we were PCSing or doing a permanent change of station to Fort Jackson. And then we had to buy our house in Fort Jackson. And that was all in 2020. It was madness.
That sounds crazy. That sounds like a lot of moving around.
It was a lot of moving around.
Okay. So something led you guys into real estate investing in the first place, even before you started kind of moving from one spot to the next.
Yep. So my husband ultimately was the one that really brought up using it as a vehicle to invest.
Okay.
And he'd been bringing it up when we were, still at Fort Bragg in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and be like, this is a way, generational wealth. And I grew up, my father was in the military, and then he became a government employee. Then I joined the military and I became a government employee. And I was like, the Mandalorian, right? Like, this is the way.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with real estate. And then I started listening more and more to, and there may be some eyes that roll in the audience, but Pace Morby. And it took my husband from August of 2025 until December before we finally swiped our credit card. And I swear it was the best decision we ever made.
Really?
Yes.
Was there anxiety leading up to that big purchase?
The whole time I was like, I'm in sales.
Okay.
This guy is in sales. This guy is a total scam artist. Like the whole time I'm like, well, if we just gave up our money, like, I guess we did it together. Like, at least he didn't do it and not tell me.
Right.
But that money has since gained itself back, and it hasn't quite 10x'd itself yet, but it's getting close to it.
Sorry, say it again?
Yes.
You said almost close to
10xing what that number would be, just based off of the lens that I've been able to do with learning the techniques that Pace Morby has taught.
So without Pace Morby's education, how long do you think it would have taken you to
I would have never done it.
You would have never done it?
I would have never done it. I would have been stuck on YouTube University being like, okay, consume, manja, right? And I would have gone to meetups and told everybody how they could do something, and I never would have done it. But
wow.
Once I was like, no, I've got dollars to donuts on this.
Yeah.
Like, I need to learn it. I need to find the people who are doing this, and I need to get my investment back. And I did.
What was your first transaction coming out of Pace's program?
I love telling this story. My first transaction was a wholesale deal that I did on my way to Everest Base Camp with my father in March of 2025.
Like in the car?
No. Like, I was in Nepal. Like,
out the country,
like out of the country,
okay.
On my way seeing the world's tallest mountain. Yes.
Wow.
I did not have flushing water, but I had Wi-Fi and really awesome cricket meets. And I just kept telling my dad it was a 12-hour time difference, and I was like, "Oh my god, my husband's sending me stuff. Oh my god, this is gonna close. Oh my god!" And it was to someone outside of the Sub2 community that was a YouTube University person, but had successfully created a business doing it. And so I sold them the deal.
Wow.
Yeah.
How much did you make?
I made $5,000 on that one. I didn't make a ton. But I didn't need to. I wanted to prove it to myself that I could do it.
Proof of concept.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so once I proved the concept, I was like, all right, let's start knocking on doors.
Now. So that was your marketing method of choice, was door knocking?
At the time it was.
Okay.
I am probably one of the fastest people. Jamil Damji has said this to me too. He's like, I've never met someone who took action as fast as you.
Oh, wow.
Where I door knocked for a month and I was like, this ain't for me. And then I was like, all right, now I got to go direct to agent. And that took me about 90 days. And I'm real good with an agent. Mm-hmm. But I started realizing I'm actually better at teaching other people how to have these conversations. Like, I can do it. Mm-hmm. I'm incredible at setting up appointments. I'm incredible at talking to agents and sellers. But I'd rather teach other people how to do it and then manage leads and go to a higher level task.
Gotcha.
And so I started doing that. And then I found lending, and then I wrote a book. It's all the things, right?
All the things. We're going to get to all the things too, because you have done a lot. You've accomplished a lot. Amazing. Yeah. So teaching moment.
Yep.
Can you give us some of the main differences between talking to being direct to seller and talking to real estate agents? What is the difference in that conversation that you need to have with a seller that's going through pre-foreclosure versus talking to an agent about making an offer on a property they represent?
Yep. So I think the biggest thing to talk to your listeners about is when you're talking to an agent, you are learning the perspective of the client, but you don't actually know the pain point of the client. There's still a financial purpose for that agent to withhold information from you, right? Mm-hmm. In a world where they're getting loaded with YouTube University creative finance callers, I understand why they want to do that.
Yeah.
Whereas when I'm talking to a seller who's in pre-foreclosure, that's a ticking time bomb, right? I've got an auction date. I know you can put your head in the sand all you want, but we know what's going to happen. And a lot of times for me, when talking to a seller direct, I've actually helped more sellers than I've purchased sellers' houses, because I view it as there's pain here that goes far beyond what's going on with this financial decision. Do you and your kids have coats? Do you and your kids have food? Do you and your kids, did your water get turned off?
Yeah.
Do we need to get you involved with Good Guys, Good Fellas so that you can have your power turned back on? Like, I think a lot of investors get it twisted and they forget those are people that live in those homes. There are birthdays that were celebrated there. There were anniversaries. Like, you need to treat that person's home with respect.
Yeah.
And so,
because if they get to the point of pre-foreclosure, it was months that led up to when they got served that first kind of pre-foreclosure notice. And in those months leading up to, a lot of pain, a lot of discomfort, a lot of uncertainty. Yeah. So the fact that you have done more of helping sellers, I'm assuming you mean retain their properties versus buying them from them?
Yep. And I actually learned through another person in this community, and I love this. It's someone who I want to work with as a pad split operator. He helped turn a family from pre-foreclosure into making their home a co-living property.
Wow.
It's just like, that is why I love the sub-2 community.
Did they stay in? The family stayed in the property?
Yeah. I'll give you their name so you can interview the person when we're done.
Wait a minute. Let me get this straight. Yep. So they were facing foreclosure, and the person you're referring to from Pace's community helped them not only retain the property as where they reside, but also move room renters in and put the property.
He helped them
pad split.
He basically helped them learn how they could be selling other assets that they had, right? Vehicles that were too expensive that they could go trade in, make up the arrears, and then reconfigure their home so that they could live in one part of it and they could rent out spaces to other people so that they could cover their rent.
It's got to be a pretty big house.
It was a large house.
Okay.
But still cool. I mean, how many investors would do that?
I don't know one that has done that.
Yeah. Well, you know one. He's here in Charlotte.
Okay. Yeah. So, we'll have to get him on the pod.
I love it.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And that is unique in itself. So is this something that he, specializes in?
No.
Is he...
No, I think it just goes back to the, go-giver attitude.
Yeah.
And, when you solve problems, the money will follow. And I feel really strongly on that. And I know a lot of friends that I do impact investing with feel the same way.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was really cool to be like, I could take advantage of this situation for my personal gain, and I choose not to.
Yeah. So this is episode 10, reoccurring theme, episode after episode, as I'm interviewing different investors, is we are problem solvers. And to be able to have the power to solve someone's problems in creative and unique ways is a skill set, and something that, like you mentioned, you can use it for your own benefit, or you actually can use it to be some light in this dark world.
100%.
It's a lot of people going through challenging situations, especially today. It's a tough economy. Everything's expensive. Everything is gone up, gas, food, housing. And so to be able to be in a position where we can help people who have just, for whatever reason, just fallen on hard times, because it can happen to any of us.
Well, and I think, if you don't mind, if we can kind of talk about just affordable housing in Charlotte a little bit and
Absolutely.
what that means.
Yeah.
So co-living obviously gets put as a solution to affordable housing. But a lot of times people will be like, housing isn't affordable. But what does that mean?
Right.
So for the purpose of this conversation, I actually went and did a little bit of research beforehand.
Okay.
To be able to explain some of this so that maybe people who don't understand why co-living is important, this can help bridge some of that gap. When you are considered cost burdened with a house, it means that over 30% of your income is being used for housing.
Okay.
And in Charlotte right now, according to HUD, 37% of people are cost burdened. And of that, the majority of them are renters. And so when you take a step back and peel it, you're like, I hear that, but what does it mean?
Yeah.
Well, HUD also does something called the average medium income, or AMI. And it's what your continuum of care, it's what your nonprofits are using for vouchers for people. So when you hear about Section 8 or HUD VASH or whatever, what they're talking about is typically you have to be at least 60% below the average median income. In Charlotte, I'm going to use spanky numbers. I know this year the number is...
Use what numbers?
Spanky numbers.
Tell us what spanky
Oh,
is.
it just means round numbers instead of the actual number for one person living in Charlotte. Their average median income is $78,600.
Yeah.
I'm going to use 70,000 because it's spanky numbers and easy for me to do math.
Gotcha.
So with a 60% average or AMI, that person makes $42,600 a year. which means they have $1,050 to spend per month in rent. Do you think you can get an apartment for one person?
Absolutely not.
So what happens is you have this huge group of people in Charlotte right now that do not make, they don't make, they make too much money to get vouchers.
Right.
But they don't make enough money to get to the next level.
Right.
And so for co-living, and I think a lot of people look at co-living as like, you know, boarding houses and you're trying to like take advantage of people.
Right.
And that's not the case. What I think most of us who are invested in co-living are interested in getting people stabilized.
Yes.
So they can go to the next step. So whether that's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath with someone they were in co-living with. But I never want someone to be in one of my properties for more than 6 months, ever. I want them to move forward.
Yeah, for sure. So the average stay for my tenants is 6 to 9 months.
Okay.
So I don't expect them to be there forever. It's a time for them to work on their credit, to save more money, to prepare to move to a permanent residence that, you know, is their own.
Yep.
And you mentioned, you know, the numbers in Charlotte. So average 1-bed, 1-bath apartment unit is $1,500 a month.
So if I make $42,600 a year,
You can't afford that.
I cannot.
That is,
In fact, even at, I think it
Crazy.
was at $70,000 a year, it's $1,800 is what I have for, if I'm only using a third of my income for my housing.
yeah. So it's crazy, the thought of that. But a lot of people are in that situation, didn't even ask for it, to be in a situation where they can't afford a safe, clean place to live, even though they work 40, 50 hours a week. That's insane. So talk about you've mentioned this organization. I don't recall the name, but talk about the organization you mentioned the last time we spoke, where you were working with veterans.
Oh, I know the organization you're talking about. I will not say the name.
Okay.
But-
Not focused on the name, but focused on...
So there was a nonprofit that I worked at here in Charlotte.
Yeah.
And the number one most requested service was affordable housing. And we failed to commit to house veterans because the way the nonprofit chooses to value this is they don't do direct care. And so I know right now the big new hotness is master lease agreements, right? Like everyone's like, I got to call nonprofits and I got a master lease agreement.
Yeah.
The problem that a lot of investors are going to run into is that not every nonprofit does direct care with a tie to housing. Even if they have housing in the name, they may not necessarily do that. And so I caution people because if you're calling nonprofits for something like that, you need to make sure that, one, you have a property that you could even offer them, and two, to ask, is this something you even do? Do you have money for government grant dollars dedicated to housing? Because if not, my fear is you're going to have a lot of YouTube warriors on the phone right now hassling nonprofits, being like, do you have money? Do you have money with no property? And the people who will unfortunately be affected by that are not the investors. It's the 50 people on the wait list that these nonprofits are like, I'm not dealing with this anymore, and they're unplugging their phone. That's my fear.
So tell us the proper way to, because I know a lot of investors that I talk to that want to get into the room rental space, they want to serve veterans because they know that there is a need, or they are a veteran themselves. They have their own place to live, but they want to be able to give back. Can you tell us the proper way to approach how to get in front of this market to be able to help them in the right way, and the nonprofits? Like, how do you approach that situation?
That. Thank you, Ashley. That's a great question. I'm going to answer it on a couple different levels because the first way that an investor can help veterans is by simply during your intake, asking someone, did you or someone in your family serve in the U.S. military? If they answer yes, the next two questions out of your mouth should be, do you have access to VA healthcare? And do you have a VA disability rating? And if the answer to either one of those is no, they can be directed to, there's a form called the Easy 1010 online that will literally, they can get registered within 3 minutes and have healthcare within 72 hours.
Really?
And then the VA disability rating, there are 3,000 veteran service offices all across the nation for each of the 3,000 counties. Their whole functions are paid for by your tax dollars, my tax dollars, and it's to help veterans get access to those kinds of benefits. For someone who's 100% permanent and total, if they live alone and in Met County, you're talking about getting $3,800 of tax-free money for the rest of their lives.
Permanent and total what?
Permanent and total disability.
Disability.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for someone like me, my husband and I are both 100% permanent and total. So, but what I explain to people is that extra income for a lot of veterans is the difference between making rent or not. Right.
You said 3,800 on average is what they receive once
that's if you're at 100%. So
okay.
I know there's a big jump. So I was at 90 and I was making 1,700. So there's a big jump between being 90 and 100%. However, there are other types of benefits and entitlements, something called the vocational, it's VRNE, vocational rehabilitation and employment. Basically, for veterans who are at least 20%, they can go to the VA, and there are several tracks. One is entrepreneur. So if a veteran wants to learn how to be a real estate investor and do co-living projects, they can literally put in with the VA to have them sponsor their business case.
Wow.
And pay for them to go to school to learn how to do that. So that's one way that people can help veterans. But for people who want to help homeless veterans, right? Like, that's what I feel like most people are like. I want to help a veteran who's on the street. And the best thing I can tell you is that the first thing you'll want to do when you're trying to do that is look at Charlotte's Point in Time. And that is a 3-day survey in typically January, February. And it's basically a homeless person census. All of the nonprofits, all of the continuum of cares, these government agencies go into our homeless camps. And they ask people, like, were you a veteran? Why are you out here? Did you come from somewhere else? And at the end of that, University of North Carolina, Charlotte posts a white paper on how many people identified as veterans when they were doing this survey. And the survey is great, too, because it answers a couple of things, right? It lets us know if you say, I want to house 1,000 veterans, and there's only 200, your numbers are skewed, and you need to adjust it. Maybe the problem wasn't as large, or maybe it's larger than you thought it was. But the other piece of it is it lets us see when policies shift when people migrate that are unhoused. So maybe Charlotte has a new policy that's put in or new funding that's granted, and a bunch of people move from Atlanta. So now all of a sudden we have to shift funding to be able to take on these new folks. And when you think about many of these Section 8 and HUD vouchers are taking 28 months already, that to have a large
28 months to do what?
To get a voucher.
So someone has to, that's the wait list. Someone has to wait
2 years.
2 years
Plus. Yep.
to get a voucher for housing in Charlotte.
In Charlotte.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
It's a basic right to be able to, should be a basic right to be able to have a place to live.
I agree.
A safe place to live.
I agree.
So we have people who have served this country that are awaiting 2 years. Not to say they should be placed ahead of others that need clean, safe, affordable housing, but they served our country. Like
I just go back to, I deployed twice to Afghanistan.
Wow.
And to me, we live in the most prosperous country in the whole freaking world. And it blows my mind that anybody, not just a veteran, but that anybody in our country has to sleep on the street. Like, there's really no reason for that at all.
Right,
like,
I agree.
And it makes me even more angry when I see it being veterans. But I'll also tell you, many of these people who are homeless, not just veterans, but people who are homeless come with trauma.
Yeah.
They come with drug addiction.
Mental
they come
health
with
issues.
Yep. And
Yeah.
so the best thing you can do is often partner with people who have that case management experience, because they're going to be able to help them on a way that, like, someone like me, I am not equipped, right?
Yeah, me neither. I want to help, but I can't be first in line because I don't know what to say or do.
It's what your best use is, right? My best use is to go out and find properties that nonprofits need in order to house these people and work contracts.
Yeah.
In order to facilitate that. Doesn't mean I become a multimillionaire in the meanwhile. It means I solve a problem. And the more of those problems I solve, the law of reciprocity tells me that organization will tell other people, hey, she took care of these people. She takes care of us. And so that's what I'm trying to do here in Charlotte.
So just to recap for what you're teaching, what your knowledge is in working with veterans. So it's a reactive approach. If someone is coming to me, asking me to rent a room, I'm to ask those two questions to see if I can help get them qualified for the benefits that they're entitled to.
Yep. Property managers are who I would say usually you'd want to have do that. So if you self-manage, yes. But if you have a property manager, I would give it to them.
Okay. Yeah. So I can't remember what episode number, but we had Alita, property manager, on. And there's several other room rental property managers in the city that I think could kind of like lead the way from that perspective. So that's one. And then the second part was...
do you have access to VA healthcare?
Do you have access to VA healthcare was one of the questions. And then the second way to try to connect with those in need is our homeless vet population.
That is correct.
And so the white paper that UNC Charlotte puts out, is this like a yearly thing?
Yeah, every year.
How do we find that? Like, how do we access that white paper?
To my knowledge, all you have to do is go on their website and Google it, or
just Google it and find
just
it
say
that
white
way.
paper, veteran homelessness, or homelessness in Charlotte, and point in time. And by the way, point in time is all across the country.
Okay.
So they'll do point in time in Seattle, Atlanta, Boston, like everywhere. This is a national thing. So
once we get a feel for, oh, this is actually a problem in my city, this day and age, this point in time, what should be the next steps if I wanting to serve that population?
oh my gosh, homeless veterans?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so hard for me to answer that, Ashley, and it's hard because veterans are really terrible at asking for help. So there are veteran nonprofits here that are doing good work, but I would really just ask people, what about that population do you want to help, and go down that way. I think too often we try to box ourselves or be like, I'll just sign a check to this organization and take care of it. But for someone like you who's like, I want to help unhoused veterans, the first place, for instance, I need to re-engage this relationship. So Scott, if you're watching this from Mecklenburg County's Veteran Service Office, I'm coming for you.
Hey, Scott.
But Scott Garlow is the director of the Veteran Service Division here in Met County. And it would be a matter of saying, hey man, like, what are the initiatives that are currently going on statewide? You've got the Governor's Challenge. You've got what's going on at the Mayor's Challenge. How can I use my housing to help? What can I be at? Because a lot of this is going to come down to relationships. There are how many investors that will roll into someone's office? How many of them will be there in 6 months still trying to help?
And be consistent.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I understand where these guys get like, but if you really want to start helping veterans, the Veteran Service Office is always the first place to start.
Got you. Might have to have Scott on the pod. See if he's open to it. Okay. So take me through where you're at today as an investor. Where do you spend most of your time? I know you're a full-time investor. So where do you spend most of your time? Are you still on the front lines of generating your own leads, or do you have a system in place now? What type of investing are you more so focused on? Are you focused on veteran housing only, or are you doing veteran housing, traditional housing? Like, what's the plate look like for you on a day-to-day?
I believe in helping people who need help.
Yeah.
So I'd said before we started rolling the cameras, anything I invest in is always impact driven. So whether it's helping with affordable housing, whether it's helping with veteran housing, whether it's helping with age-out foster youth, whether, people who are victims of domestic violence, like, I'm always going to go to where that need is.
Yeah.
So I'm at a point now where I'm seeking out like certain projects with some organizations that my husband and I were affiliated with in the military to try to help them.
Okay.
That have to do mostly with trafficking women.
Oh, wow.
And then I am also working on getting I'm an equity partner. So I have in total 18 doors down in Dallas, Texas, and 2 different co-living properties.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we just became equity owners here in Mecklenburg County of a sober living.
Okay.
And so I say that because for me, the journey has been about learning what co-living looks like from someone who was a little further ahead than me while I built the team here locally to know who's my GC, who's my operator, how am I getting my capital? Because again, Army officer, I plan for everything. And so when I go to secure, it's a very clean, typically process because I've already figured out what I needed to do.
I can see that in you. I can see that 100%. That is how you approach situations in a certain order.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It is why one of my lends right now is cross-collateralized against 3 different assets.
Wow.
So yes, I don't play around with my money, Ashley.
Okay. Okay, so you're a lender as well.
Yes, I
Tell
am.
us more about what led you to lending. Like, why would you want to get into other people's projects? And when you're not steering the ship, your borrower is, and so
I knew
things can happen.
100%. 100%.
Things can happen with your money that you got
And
out
they
there.
have. I got smart. So when I started learning about private money lending, it was actually through a family friend that our kids had done karate together 10 years ago. They're fix and flippers out of Fayetteville. They're also the Fayetteville REIA reps. So still maintain a really good relationship with them.
Yeah.
And our lend went sideways. It just did not go well.
The first deal?
100%. It did not go well.
Oh, man.
But through no fault of their own. They had been crushing it for 3 years in the market. As anything with real estate, the market turned and we were running into problems.
Yep.
The difference was my husband and I don't lend money that we're going to use to pay our rent, that we're going to use to pay for the family vacation. So we were like annoyed, but we weren't crippled. Over time, we were able to walk them through some things that we had learned through creative finance. I'm like, hey, have you guys considered doing this so that you can refi us out of this?
Yeah.
And they were able to do that. And we're still really good friends. They came to the Creative Nation tour when I hosted it here in December. So that, sorry, I know I went down like a
that's okay.
crazy.
No, stories that we tell on the pod help people learn.
Yeah.
And so you went through that first experience.
Yep. And
learned what not to do and what to do as a lender.
Learned that we don't lend in second position. We ask on a modular home.
Golden rule number 1.
We learned this was before we even were a part of Pace's community, just learning. And then over time, like I said, we're currently foreclosing on a property that is cross-collateralized against 3 other properties. So I hate that. It was also a $5.2 million wellness center, so I'm not like kicking someone out of their house, right? Right. And they were also kind of jerks and were squatting in the property, just making our life a little miserable.
Oh yeah, time to deal with that situation quickly and move on.
But I mean, to me, being a lender will make you a great borrower because I know now how frequently I want to be spoken with, that I need to have that conversation with people on the front end. How do you want to be communicated with? Do you want a phone call? Do you want a text? Do you want an email? Like being able to have those relationships when you're handling other people's money is a big deal.
Absolutely.
And the biggest thing it taught me is that I would rather lose 10,000 of my own dollars before I lost 1,000 of yours. Like, if you're not prepared to be that kind of a borrower, then I don't want to give you my money because that's the way I am.
Right.
So I think that's a lesson that it's a part of the journey some people never get to. But those are the people that I work with now and that I lend with.
Know your borrower.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm still on the borrower side of the fence. And so I work with private lenders, like individual lenders that have self-directed IRA that they're lending money to me for different projects. And then I've also done a fundraise on fractional.
Love it. Love fractional.
And so last year bought a 7-bed sub 2, and I owned that with 5 other investors I met on the fractional platform. Didn't know, out of the 5, I knew 3. So there were 2 that I didn't know. They just happened to be on fractional looking for their next deal to invest in.
Okay.
And so being on this side of the house, I am responsible for making sure that they are always kept up to date with the changes that are going on with the property. Just what's the progress that we're making? What is, certain, where's our cash flow at? Keeping them in the loop when it comes to, hey, last month, these are the repairs that we did. This is the maintenance that we plan on doing, that sort of thing. And so I'm getting my fair share of practice as borrower, but at some point, yes, I do want to get on the other side of the fence and be the lender.
There's good to both.
I think there's like rough sides of the mountain on any seat you sit in, but 100%. At the end of the day, that's business. Like
100%.
You can't really predict what's coming, and whatever comes, if it's not so great, you just have to
roll with it. But that's the importance of relationships with this too, though. Like, I had the person that has been holding my money now for 8 months.
What was the original plan?
45 days.
Wow. Yeah.
But he was on my podcast and we were laughing. We're going over. Why? Because he has kept me I have seen that man bend over backwards, try to do cheetah flips. We should be getting our money in theory back next week. We'll see.
We'll see. Fingers crossed.
But I know because of the other people he's connected to that I'm connected to, I'm like, oh, he's going to do everything he can to make me whole. Yeah. He also has a lot of his own money in there. And that's another rule for any of you who haven't lent. I would not lend on my first project if that person was not also in it, especially if you're
in the game.
Yeah, if they're connecting you to a deal and they're not in it, no.
Yeah. Red flag.
Yeah, huge red flag.
Yeah. Rachel, thank you so much for being on the pod. This was amazing.
Oh my gosh, I'm so thankful to be on it. I hope that this is like what your followers were looking for.
It was what I was looking for. Oh. I learned a lot, so I'm good. If they didn't catch a nugget or two, I hope they press rewind and watch it again because you dropped so many gems. I appreciate you being here. Before we wrap up, I do want to make sure that you share anything that you want to share that you have going on. First of all, congratulations on your 500 subs on the REI Baddies
Thank you.
Podcast. So Rachel has a podcast as well. So go look for her on all podcast platforms on YouTube, REI Baddies. So I know you have that going on. Is there anything else that you want to share with the audience? Like how do they find you on social or anything else that you want to share?
So oddly enough, the easiest place, while my husband is setting up my website to get on bigger stages this year to talk about exactly what we discuss, making America wealthy again, right? Through passive streams of income.
Yeah.
But the best way to get a hold of me is on LinkedIn. So unlike many people in the entrepreneur space, I love LinkedIn. So finding Rachel Davis sub2 is actually the / that you'll see to find me.
We're giggling so hard about that because before we started rolling, I talked about how I am not on LinkedIn when it comes to real estate at all, but Rachel loves it.
I love it.
Yeah, these different platforms on social, they all have a purpose they can serve. So however you can, pick a platform and use it to your benefit, go do that.
Absolutely. I mean, real quick, I had over 800 subscribers for three rotations of a newsletter on affordable housing here in Charlotte. That's what I'm telling people. Get on LinkedIn, man.
On LinkedIn.
Don't sleep on LinkedIn.
Don't sleep on LinkedIn. It's not just for corporate America.
It's not.
It's for entrepreneurs as well, for
100%.
sure. All right. Well, we will make sure in the show notes that we include a link to your podcast.
Thank you, ma'am.
Anything else you want us to link up in the show notes?
I will probably ask you to link up my book, just because that is where I did my first real estate deal.
What's the name of the book?
It is called The Climb, Creating an Everest Mindset. It's about my time in the Army as well as my time going to Everest Base Camp with my father.
Okay, that sounds awesome. I'm going to have to pick that up for myself. So we'll link that up as well. Perfect. So you guys can go pick up the book. Rachel, thanks again for being here. If you liked this episode, do us a favor and hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. Comment on what you found interesting, any questions that you have in the comments, and your subscription and your like of the video. It makes sure that this video gets out and in front of more people. That's what we want. This pod is for education purposes. We want to teach as many people as we can how to do co-living investing the right way, because the more people that get it right, the more people that get served in a way that helps them find affordable housing. So thanks for being here, and we'll see you guys on the next pod. Peace.